Hi, I'm Mary, a librarian and book reviewer with a focus on stories written for kids, tweens, and teens. Today, I am joined by Shugri Salh, who's the author of the memoir The Last Nomad and a supporting actor in the Apple TV Plus Little America episode set in an immigrant Somali community. She was born in the desert of Somalia in 1974 and immigrated to North America in 1992. When she's not writing or telling stories, she works as an infusion nurse. Welcome, Shugri. It's so nice to have you.
Thank you so much, Mary, for having me. I am so excited to embark this conversation with you. Really, I'm touched, and thank you for doing it again.
Yeah, I would love to talk a bit about your upcoming book, Subon's First Day.
Subban's First Day is a book that I eagerly wait to share with all of you. Subban's story is about a young nomadic girl who lives in the desert with her grandmother. She is early on given a responsibility of herding baby goats around, helping with animal milking, all of those nomadic chores to help with the family survive. And I really love that Subban wants to do all of this thing to help, but she eagerly awaits the day she can herd these big sheep and goats out in the wilderness and be brave and take and safely return the animal home and watch out for danger. But in a culture that in a nomadic culture, age is not usually, we're not given a birthday time. You are born this date, and specificity is not there. We are marked by the season you were born. You were either born a rainy season or a drought season. And we know that when children get into the stage, like when they lose their front teeth, it's a time that they gain the wisdom to be able to save the herd, animal in the desert. And so Subban is determined to do that. So when her grandmother tells her, you know, she said, "Grandmother, when can I herd these goats and baby sheep, big sheep all by myself?" She said, "When the frogs sing at the pond, when 4 moons has passed." She knows Subban will lose her two front teeth when it's a rainy season again. But Subban has other plans to make this happen faster than yeah, and we love her eagerness to do that. Yeah.
Yes, and patience is hard for us at all
It's a
ages, isn't
very, very hard thing for even adult, as you know, Mary. Yeah.
it?
Yeah, she's adorable.
So, what was your inspiration for writing this book?
Mary, a lot of things honestly inspired this story. But to begin with, I really, it was inspired in a relationship between me and my maternal grandmother, a woman I respected deeply. And like Soup, and I was this eagerly over imaginative child who I used to herd goats around the huts, baby sheep. In fact, I don't know, Mary, if you want to hear this funny story of I remember clearly being a little girl watching the baby goats around the huts in the desert. And I keep hearing this thing called the red one did this, the red one, ate this, the red one. I don't know what the red one is. As those who read my Last Nomad book will know, I have no clue. Red one looked like something that's wreaking a havoc in the desert. So one shiny day in the desert, I'm herding my baby goats around and I saw some figure to me sitting under a shade of a tree with a red scarf. And in my mind, I am convinced that's the red one. As it turned out, it was a woman who had eloped with a man, and they were on her way to his village. And as a nomadic culture, if you come upon a family, they have to, you can get a milk and water as you journey to your last destination. As soon as I saw the red scarf, I sent a signal to the desert, said, "Oh my God, there is a hyena, like the boy who cried wolf."
Yeah,
I
right.
brought the whole village down to this woman who was in secretly eloping with this happened. And I remember my mother looking, saying, "That's not the red one. The red one is, it turned out, is a bobcat or a crackle, that it's, but what do I know? I love it because it embodies children's imagination gone wild, right? And misunderstanding children often run into. I also wanted to write this book, all the children's who really, I want all of the children to see there's other way of living and to remind us our shared humanity, you know. So I also at the time, Subban is my niece's name. You know, she's been going through tough time, and I wanted her to see the character. I took her picture and make sure the character looks like her. And as we work on the illustration, so she's eagerly also awaiting for this book to come out. So yeah, that's what the inspiration. I really it's a beautiful book and well illustrated by our illustrator, Alaba Onanjin. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, so that's a great segue into my next question. What input did you have to the illustrations? Did you just be able to say what you wanted Suban to look like, or did you have more of a say in how that came together?
You know, I have to thank my agent, Julian McKenzie, Aurorin Brooke Bress. They were really amazing in cultivating relationship between all of us, including the illustrator. I often tell them early on, I am bendable, but I don't want to break. You know, as you know, Mary, as a storyteller yourself, you understand the what we want to tell this story in a way that we had imagined, you know, when the print comes out. And they did an excellent work. And I get involved to the detail, I would say, to the detail. I would say this is how it was because I have to bring to life what was life in the 1970s, later tale of the 1970s. And this was exactly when you know, the garment was covering the shoulder. I said, oh, that's not how they dress. So there was a lot of involvement from my end in bringing this story of mine to life. And I have to, you know, Alaba Onajin is amazing. He's from a Nigerian illustrator. He really embodied that. And I really appreciate the work we did. There was a lot of going back and forth to get this story right. And I am glad the world can now see this beautiful illustration of him now and story as well.
Absolutely. Did you get to speak in person to one another in real time, or was it more messages going back and forth?
It was more actually, it's funny you say that, Mary, because a part of me wants to go, hey, you know, my African oral tradition, let's talk, you know, but probably would have get too excited and do crazy things. But our team was going back and forth, you know, sometimes I'll leave them recording, sometimes a lot of going back and forth in terms of the detail, and they were able to excuse. So we never talk in person, though I am really looking forward to do that because I feel like he can do other projects with me as well. He's amazing, yeah. But the team was able to accomplish that. And I respected that boundary. I didn't know, you know, I just want to, I just, everything was working out perfect. So I didn't feel the need to rattle that.
How great. So you said that Subhan's experience is very similar to your childhood in Somalia. What was it like for you transitioning from a nomadic lifestyle to life in North America?
You know what's interesting, Mary, is the desert is a platform that is actually, it prepares you the skills that you need to survive anywhere in this world. Okay, as a nomadic people who their life hinge on rain and grass, every so often we have to move every season, right? And as we move to a new place, we have to encounter new wild animals, new terrain, new danger, snakes, you know, lions, hyenas. You have to get your bearing around, and you have to even navigate the mapless, you know, desert, how to get around and not even get lost, right? And so that adaptability, resilient survivalhood is what sets the stage in surviving anywhere in this world. When I landed, as those of you who read The Last Nomad, when I landed in Canada in the dead of the winter, oh my God, was that a shock to my body, right? I didn't know what I was doing. It was like I had landed. It's like taking you, Mary, and throwing you into Mars. Clearly, you don't know who's going to eat you or who's your friend, right? But I feel like that early adaptability of surviving and that resilience. I mean, sometimes it will get so dry that we wouldn't have water or rain, and we have to learn how to survive. So in during the rainy season, we knew to store food for the coming droughts. We were a people who knew how to survive. And I think, I wouldn't say it was not a challenge. Trust me, I didn't know how to take an elevator, escalator. Everything was coming up to kill me, I felt. But I learned to learn the language, and I learned to make friends, and I was extremely curious. And I think my curiosity served me very well.
Yeah, what a dramatic difference to go from the warm of Somalia to the very
I,
cold winter in Canada.
Mary, I still talk about there was not enough clothes to wear to help me survive. In the desert, it is hot and boiling. Here, it is so cold. I didn't know. I was like, I have to wear so much clothes. I didn't know how to walk at times. And it is funny to me now that I not only do I roller skate, I ski. I am that skiing nomad, out of place still. What am I doing? But if it's like if you can't beat them, join. you know, there is a Somali proverb that says, if you land in a place where everybody's missing an eye, I'm not recommending, right? You too should miss an eye, take out an eye. It's just it talks about the humanness that we have to find that shared acceptance, right? So it's beautiful, and I love. Canada was the first place that provided me home. So home is a lot of places, right? Home is Somalia, home is Mogadishu, home is the desert, home is Canada, home is America now. Home is forever changing.
Do you have a favorite moment from your childhood that sticks with you today?
I think I that's the moment. Remember that I was sharing with you about the Gududane, the red one. That really is the story that comes to mind. Another story that really comes to mind is, as a child, I remember standing on top of a tall termite mound, termite hills, and feeling, when you look into the horizon of an open desert, you see where the sky meets the land, right? In your mind, you think you see the sky joining the desert, but at the far point. And I always was like, I'm gonna get to that point one day and find where the sky meets the desert, and obviously that doesn't exist. And also when I look out into the sky, the marking made by the airplane, that used to fascinate me. And I was convinced there were upside down people living out there into the sky. I think I was one of those big ear child, full of imagination. And even, Mary, when I see when in the writing of this book, and I don't want to get ahead of you, maybe you would ask this question. um, Children of the desert have to be in tune with the desert, right? We have to see a print and see, had this lion print been 3 days old or 2 days old or an hour. That is the detail my grandmother used to take from. We have to look at the wind, the shadow, the moon, everything, evening star, morning star, everything used to tell us a story as we live our life in the desert. So I love that this book really get to teach kids to again rely on those skills, right? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, to find themselves in the moment instead
Yeah,
of
yeah,
in a screen or in the
yeah,
next moment. Yeah.
yeah. And there is a time, one of my favorite moment of the character or the thing is when she's watching dung beetles roll poops in the desert, when she's watching the termites build termite hills. Just that in tuneness of the desert is something that's very, very beautiful. And it tells us what happens when we're in tune with our environment, knowing that our survival hinges on that as well.
What made you choose to be a writer?
May you be surprised that um, I would have to begin with when I was a little girl in the last nomad. My mother and father fought over me, over my destiny bitterly. And my mother, this to take me, it took me from the city and give me as a gift of labor to my nomadic grandmother to never be heard from. I wasn't supposed to grow up with the rest of my family. I wasn't supposed to get an education. So it is ironic that I am today the author of The Last Nomad and Subani's first day, right? Now, in my schooling years, I was the kind of student who scored very high in chemistry. I remember when students will see my mark and they will see 96% with my African garment, they go, "What's up?" They would want me to help them. They're like, "Oh, you know a lot." And I didn't understand what was the big deal. I excel science, but anytime you give me an essay to write or even a paragraph, doomed unleashed on me, Mary. I was like foreboding, feeling, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I started stammering of my sentence. I write, I rewrite. And so I realized that was really scary for me. But then, Mary, you can understand as a storyteller, I I come from long line of an oral tradition, deep historical people. I remember sitting by the fire as a young girl in the black sky as the fire, crackles toward the sky, right? The stars shining, our animals in their closure, wild animals echoing, lions and all this in the distance, hearing these deep stories of survival through poetry or riddle, right? And stories of powerful queens that rose in our, country. And that enriched me. I am also an avid reader. So I learned to lean into that. I remember, Mary, one time driving in Sonoma County, it was a rainy day, very rainy day. And I was picking up my children. I was a stay-at-home mom, picking up my children. And as I was making a turn to the left, I saw a woman from West Africa wearing this beautiful garment. She was an older, elderly woman. And she was covered in one of those garbage plastic bags, the black one, ripped. She was using that as an umbrella and she was digging into a recycling bin, collecting probably, cans and things, right? And I remember like feeling for her, feeling that she was out of place, right? And part of us, we respect our elderly, something tucked in our heart. And I looked at her and capture the moment and reimagine her life as part of a village in Africa, a young lady who once entertained, all the village mans were interested. They will bring in their papaya, milk, goats, and they will be like doing dances for her to impress her. All these cultures just emanated to me for me to tell this story. And I read that, shared that story and other stories to Facebook. And I remember people saying, "Wow, you're a beautiful writer. Like, we loved it. Can you tell more?" And so, as I write more and I tell more stories, people encouraging me, I said, perhaps when I'm not restricted by a teacher demanding the mark I was going to get, my creative side blossom. So it was leaning into that. And those of us, Mary, you and I, who are the carriers of oral traditions, we know that we want to carry that one on and we love that. But also, we want people to give them access. However, if that means writing it down and illustrating, by all means we will do because we want to reach the children of the world, the humans of the world. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting that having the restriction of school and those expectations can limit you in a lot of ways? And then when you're finally free, you discover things that you might not have loved
I,
in
I
school, but now
am
you do.
I am telling you, Mary, just studying, I never knew. I think, every class, English class I froze. I think even today, if you put me back, is there that same thing? Like, it's just some different person comes out when I write. When I am also, Mary, in nature, when I'm out in nature, And like I said, I'm still that nomadic girl in tune with it. All the stories I want to write come to fore, and they tell me, write me. And I feel like everything in this world tells a story. So I just feel my highest storyteller when I'm out in nature, just like my nomadic ancestors.
That's lovely.
Mm.
So your first book, The Last Nomad, is more for an adult audience, and then
Mhm.
Subhan's First Day is more for a child audience. Do you have a preference between the two as far as which one you write for?
I think it's easy for me to write for adult audience. I have to say, taming myself to write for children, it was harder. It took a village to get this one out, I think, because part of me wants to use big words, and children use different kind of languages. But what I love, Roaring Brook did and my agents, we really find a ways that I can still write and bring these beautiful stories out without losing my poetic writing. So my writing style was preserved, and I truly appreciate that. And I think what come out is beautiful and relatable. And yes, it's certainly easier for me to write for adults, but I'm coming to like children's book now that I did my first one. And I actually have five more books lined up waiting, but the process takes time. And it was 2 years to get this one out. And every book will take that. But I have a feeling there is more waiting, eagerly waiting, coming towards. Yeah.
Are you comfortable sharing any of them with us?
There's
A
a
little
story
teaser?
that I may wanna base on them to call like the idea of Subban. Maybe Subban skips in the desert, or Subban and the evening star. Subban plays with the lion cubs. I think all of these stories still exist. Subban and the fox. So there is really, I have all of this are like literally waiting. And Mary, I do archive stories as well. There's a whole story thing we will talk about later. And the stories that coming out, wow, I'm like, America, you have no idea how many untamed stories that I have for you. I am very excited. And if anybody unleashes me, I have so much story to tell, so much. And I'm really, really, Mary, I am so excited, very excited to be telling this all stories. I can't wait to gain the platform to do that.
What is it that you hope young readers come away with after reading Subhan's First Day?
I think Subban has completely different way of living. I want you to know, children to know that different children of the world live different thing. In Subban, we see how she relies more in the information that's coming out of the nature, right? She has to read her growing shadow to see when it's time to go to herd the animal certain way. She have to rely on the sun heading home, the sun coming out. When the sun stands directly above you, the footprint. All of this skill is Subban is using to navigate a world. It is something that's really new to these children of Western, and they have to. Maybe I will hope the children go outside and say, where is the sun? Where is east? Where's west? Where is the evening star? Where is the morning star? I wanted them to be in tune with the information coming from the nature. So that's really, and this is a story that reminds us ultimately our shared humanity and connections.
Beautiful. Do you have any advice for young readers that might be engaging with the story for the first time?
I think um I think staying curious about other culture is very, very, very important. Being open and reading the stories and seeing the message, like I said, we just alluded to that, how Subban is leading into nature and children kind of navigating those skills and seeing what it entails for them. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm also excited children of East Africa, being able to see stories that they could relate to. A lot of Somali children have grandmothers and grandparents. They are just probably one generation away from this lifestyle. So it's possible their nomadic grandmother was nomad, or even their mother may have, like me, have some experience with that. So to be able to relate to that's very important. And more important, we want to bring diverse stories where different children can see themselves in it. And I think this one does that. And I'm very delighted about that.
Yeah, it's certainly a book that doesn't have any sort of parallel right now in children's literature. So it's a great way to
Yeah.
introduce young readers to the nomadic lifestyle, which many of them may never have even heard of.
And to draw wisdom from that and to say, oh my God, this girl is being trusted and that maybe they will take on more roles. I find in America we sometimes make children more hopeless than they are. I remember a story of my friend. I have Sonoma County friend, and she's so my friend. I call her jokingly Jenny from the block, and Jenny comes to me and she goes like, Shukri, Shukri, the girls are sleeping at the backyard tonight. I'm a bit worried for them. They want to sleep out there by themselves. I said, huh. And what's the problem? Well, I don't know. I'm just nervous. I said, oh, so at that age or maybe younger, I was out in the desert sleeping. There was lions and hyenas and all of these things around, ready to kill me, snakes and scorpions and all. But I survived. She goes, okay, okay, he made a point. I'm like, let children have some experience where they gain self-efficacy, right? When I do something for myself, if they want to sleep that backyard with the tent, please let them. If they want to go to the next market that's not too far, with their big sister, please let them be. Give them, if they, as they get older, if they want to ride the train, let them. We don't want to be a helicopter plan. You gain more confidence when you see accomplishing this task. So I really hope more and more parents will let them lead onto this, all of these skills, which are true, right? Like if you didn't know where home was, like where is home? Is it west? Is it east? Orienting yourself. I have to do that sometimes. So it's very important skills, I believe. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Shugri, I have asked you several questions today, but what's the question that I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
Mary, you really did. Your questions were very insightful, and I really, really appreciate the time you took. I was like, is there something I wanted to add? And I was like, there's nothing. But honestly, I think what I want to tell people, if there is one thing to add, is when you have a job as a nurse and you're artistic and a writer and an actor and a story archiver, I feel like one may wonder, how am I doing all of these things? So for me, it takes me 1 hour to go to my nursing jobs to drive, and in that 1 hour I may call my team in Africa and talk about the stories we archive and authentication of it, or what does it mean, or the time, or I may say my team, which is this young guy named Mahad, who was communicating with you and my brother, all of these teams, and ask them like, you know, how to archive it. Did we translate? Did we name the file? There's a lot of things that I do heading to work and heading back from work, and even in my lunch time. So I think because while nursing job is something I do and I enjoy the care I give, I really love the things I do as a creative side. And I am trying to find a way to balance it that. And that may mean in the future me doing less of a nursing job. Maybe I'll do 3 days and then I will lean into this either acting or story archiving, more kind of balancing both worlds. And I think that is one thing. It's not easy, but I think I don't want people to, oh my God, I can't do it. It feels like you can still accomplish all that if you kind of organize and you are kind to yourself. There are times I go, oh, I'm gonna write, and I'm like, oh, I have nothing to write, or I'm not creative. In that case, I may just read a book or archive stories. So gives me in my artistic outlet an area I can jump when another area is not being creative that day.
Makes a lot of sense. Where
Yeah.
can folks go to find out about you and your books and any other updates you might have?
Thank you so much. Yeah, there is a website called, I think maybe I shared with you, called shukrisalh.com. Actually, all of these stories we are archiving, or our upcoming podcast, which we want to call it Untamed Stories with Shukri Salh. I'm very excited about that. We'll be definitely coming to that website. And it's a website we really put a lot of work, and a lot of stories are already out there. We do need to put more stories, but I am in this place where perhaps I should do the podcast and I'll showcase these stories there. There's my website, also my TikTok, Shukri Salh, and then Instagram, Shukri Salh. Everything I keep it to my name, Shukri Salh. And so if you go to various platform, you will see. And if you share the link, then they will have those links to click in. But the best thing you can do for us support is if you put your email into my website, it will give us a platform to reach more people, right? And to tell more of these untold stories that we're trying to get out there. And I really find, Mary, in this time where there is so much animosity toward immigrants and people that look like us, though we are nurses, doctors, storytellers, reporters, lovers of humanity, in this time of great misunderstanding. Stories like The Last Nomad, Super's First Day, all of these traditional stories matter more than ever for us to hear each other and to see each other's stories. And therefore, that should remind us, at the end of the day, we have shared humanity. Everyone needs food, shelter, belonging, right? Safety. That is a universal themes we all need. And I hope the readers take away that. So giving me share my stories, well, is the story of a lot of us. And I am so honored that you took the time to talk to me, Mary. You have no idea.
Sugar, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And listeners, if Subin's First Day sounds like a great fit for you or for someone you know, I hope you look for it wherever you get your books. And Sugar, I'm looking forward to hearing more of your stories, both on your website and in real life in books too.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mary. This was an awesome interview. And Mary, you are the first person to interview me for Subani's First Day. I am tickled by that idea. And thank you for all that you do to keep this story sharing going.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Mary. Have a lovely day. Bye.